Hello and welcome. Try&Fly, in this case a revisited or a Try&Fly again or whatever you want to call it. For those of you who are new to this channel, Try&Fly for me is I'm getting a new add-on, or as in this case, after a long time, I reinstall an add-on again. In this case, it is because I have switched from the 32-bit prepared version 3 to prepared version 4, and I did also a complete PC rehaul, everything new, operating system clean, and so on and so forth, SSDs and slightly better graphic card. Still, it is a borderline system. It is low spec compared to what is available today. And therefore, the Try&Flies, especially when I revisited an aircraft like the Pmdg Boeing 777 that we are looking at, we happen to look at the freighter version today because I like freighters. I want to see how does prepared version 4, and it's 4.4 by the way. I have not yet moved to 4.5. I usually don't move immediately. How does it fare? How does it work? Does it crash? And especially, what's the performance on my lower spec system? And that's what this is about today. And I tell you the truth, it's also an opportunity to sit in a pretty well simulated 777. We do have one in X-Plane. I do a lot of X-Plane videos, but it's not really close to it. It's okay, that's the flight factor 777 we have in X-Plane, but it's old. It's not really overly accurately simulated compared to this year. And yeah, so it's great to sit in such a beautifully made and really well made aircraft. So one of the reasons why I'm still clinging to prepared, although X-Plane is, in my view, probably, at least from my taste, the better simulator, is to have add-ons like this, to have the Pmdg add-ons, the 747, the 777, and also the NGX. That's one of the main reasons that I still come back to prepared. And there are one or two other very good add-ons. And yeah, today we're going to look at the 777 and have a quick standard round. And because this is to test performance, what I do is I also have bad weather, darkness with dynamic lighting, because that really is heavy on the resources. And I can show you the CPU isn't that bad, and in prepared the CPU hardly ever reaches really high values, but it's the graphic card. You can see with the rain and the clouds when we're outside, we are actually above 90%, and then comes OBS, so we are maxing out the GPU. The reason why you wouldn't realize much of that is the fact that we have a still picture. Okay, if we would be moving, we would probably see some artifacts or some stutter or something like that over time, because yeah, the GPU is really maxed out. Fortunately, when we return into the cockpit, things improve drastically because they move to, well, somewhere between 70 and 80%, plus the 8 to 9% of OBS, my recording software, keeps us under the 100%. So that's one of the things that I test. How does an add-on fare here on this end? If we would be maxing out all the time, like I have seen with far less complicated aircraft, by the way, then yeah, it is a bit of an issue. And it just shows you that the Pmdg aircraft in general, but especially the newer ones, the 747 and 777, they are really well done. Also from a performance point of view, you can also tweak a little bit on the performance values, the frequency with which displays are updated and all that. I haven't really done this. I just installed this. This is a fresh install of the Pmdg, just out of the box, sort of reactivated it. There is a limit on activations, so that's why I made sure that when I cleaned up everything, I also deactivated my installations of each aircraft. That is possible. Therefore I make sure that when I install again on although it's the same system, it's a different operating system, so there are probably some different IDs around. It depends on what they look at. I have no idea. So it could well happen that you exceed your activation limits, and that happened to me in the past because I wasn't aware of this. But Pmdg Precision Manuals was always very good in reactivating. So they verified that somehow probably that I'm not a hacker or something like that. So they allowed me to reactivate twice, actually, once for the NGX and once for the 777. Now that I'm aware of this, I make sure that when I do a big cleanup session, I deactivate all the licenses, at least as far as I can tell that this needs to be done. So here we are inside the cockpit. Yeah, and it is, let's face it, Pmdg aircraft are probably one of the best looking aircraft in the simulator world. I'm actually still paused, by the way. So let's activate. So from the outside as well as from the inside, they are really, really well done. There's no doubt about that. And the level of system depth and complexity in these aircraft is amazing. And as I said, also the sound, as you will be hearing, you probably already hear, is also quite amazing. Okay, so, and I would say, let's do a quick setup. I'm activating the Adiru. We are on external power. I just realized it wasn't actually on, so we were running on batteries. I used one of those startup states, and one of the things you can do here is an interactive checklist. Is make sure that you selected the middle display, and then you go on checklist, and what you get here is the normal checklist. I would start with the pre-flight, and the pre-flight would be testing the oxygen, which you can do here, by the way. Oops. All right, and same would be on the other side, and then you can go up, nope, yeah, no, and then you can tick it off. So the display itself is a little bit awkward, but let me see, can we open this? I can't remember. Is there a way to open this? Shift 9, Shift 9, Shift 8, Shift 7. For some reason Shift 8 doesn't work. Vehicle instrument panel, let's have a look. F is MCP left, MCP right, CDU center, CDU right, CDU left. And yeah. Now, I also have F is to crew, but I haven't installed it yet. I need to also update this, and I will probably do a kind of try and fly introduction of the 777 and with F is to crew, but today it's really about the basics. So the flight instruments, yeah, we haven't yet programmed the FMC, so maybe we should do this first and then we can continue. So I'm going to do it's ARAC 1908, enter inertial position in it, and so what you can do is you can check on these pages for positions like the GPS position, and you can take any of those. I usually compare them, and since they all seem to be the same, you can use this position and fill it in here. Just make sure that for some reason this could be the last position, could be a complete different one, depending on how you started the aircraft and when. So it happened to me in some aircraft that this was a completely different position and I didn't realize, and then you are in trouble. And you need to basically reset everything, because yeah, the system, the navigation system, would be out of sync. Reference airport is Echo Delta Delta Mike. And I'm not going to go through all the possible hoops and things that you can do here, because it would take us too long. This is gate 185. I'm going to do sort of a basic setup and then do our basic try and fly route, just to see how it works with performance. But this is really the amazing thing. Look at that, 50%, yeah, graphic cards, and 24% CPU. I wonder what it will be like when we are done and when we actually start going. So instruments, heading, we could check now the heading here and the instruments. So we are aligned, by the way, in the meantime, and the parking brake is set and the checklist is complete, and you can go here and call up the next, which would then be the before start checklist, but that is a little bit early. We still need to do some more setting up. So we go to the route and we start entering the route. Echo Delta Delta Mike to Echo Delta Delta Mike. Runway is the 08 left. The weather, by the way, is pretty bad. I use actually canned weather here in the simulator. So I have clouds, rain, and reason for that is quite simply, I want to see how clouds and rain, which are heavy on the resources, how they how they slow down things here, and do I lose a lot of frames? At the moment I don't, but that's because we are standing, we haven't programmed everything yet, we are not moving, so we shall see. I had some issues with dynamic lighting, but it appears that we possibly have resolved those. But you can still see that the frames do drop, so we are already below 30. Alright, so we are somewhere between 20 something, and we have GSX doing things in the back. GSX takes some resources too, by the way. So if you have GSX running and doing things out there, you may lose 1 or 2 frames, depending on what it does. Flight number, test 1. This is actually really my first flight. I took some time to set things up again, like get the joysticks and the buttons and the GoFlight hardware connected again and working. So, and Linda being programmed for my light switches and so on and so forth. I'm actually going to turn on the nav lights. I've done this now with the switch, so the nav lights are on, yeah. Here you can also see the lighting, the night lighting. Okay, as usual, Pmdg look good at daylight and in the night. Both are good. You can tell that I really like these things. So, company route we're not going to use. I'm going to go to next page, and the route is the usual one. If you watch my try and flies, you should probably know by now. It took me some time to switch from Weze to Munich, but the reason is quite simple. First of all, there isn't really a nice scenery for prepared version 4 for Weze Airport. It never really was nice, but it was my test airport that I got used to. Munich is a taxi to gate payware, so it is not the most frame friendly scenery. And again, this all adds. So I want to see, I have ORBX installed, the global, then I have the European land classes, then I have the Germany South, and then I have taxi to gate Munich, which definitely has an impact on frames because they are complicated sceneries. Still, we still run at 25. Everything over 20 is good. Even below 20, if it doesn't drop below 15, is still usable. It's not nice, but it's usable. So at the moment we are above my 20 frames threshold, and well, I hope that it will stay like this during the test. Akini Ostes. Okay, so let's go to the departure. We're going to use 08 left, and we're going to go via Anchor 9 Quebec. I have updated the ARAC with Navigraph, and we're also already can enter the departure, the arrival I mean. In this case I can actually pre-select the runway without problems. It's Pmdg for Alpha, and we're going to go via the MIQ. All that is standard stuff that we're always doing. Then I take Akini and I put that in here, close the gap, and then I take Pmdg and I put that in here, and this is actually a critical corner which I do in order to test how aircraft react. So we have the route. I'm going to activate the route for the moment. And I can save this route now. Out of here, I won't do that. We don't need it. But this is one of the aircrafts where you can click and then it will put in what it has. We have 145 kilograms of fuel on board. That is far too much. So in order to do this a little bit more realistic, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set short range fuel, which is 27. That is still too much for what we are doing, but it's okay. And I'm going to set well, empty payload, and we are going to just put in some values so that we have let's say a basic weight. And then we can also see how this aircraft behaves when it's empty. The 777 is quite powerful. According to this, our cargo loading is 87% done. I'm not using the built-in things. I'm going to show you in a moment. So we've set cargo, we've set fuel. You have the possibility, you don't have to. First of all, yeah, there's the usual ground connections like GPU and so on. Okay, I use the GPU, and for some reason the air, that's a state. That's part of the state that we have. Yeah, so we have air and electricity connected. Then what you can do is you can bring a number of stairs and loaders and so on online. I didn't do that. What I actually did is I checked out GSX to see if GSX works today. It does actually. Okay, it looks a bit odd what the guys are doing there, but once the doors open, they actually start doing some kind of loading exercise, and you can see we load our last crates. So this is animated stuff, and today GSX actually, at least until now, works okay. Usually I have issues with GSX. There's always something. I update it regularly, so maybe today we are fine. As you can also see, we have in northern Germany would call it Schiedwetter, not so good weather. Yeah, so the last crates are being loaded onto the aircraft. So today GSX is doing its job, but if you do not have GSX, what you can always do is you can use these here, and I think there's also a automatic mode. That means you can do, they would automatically open doors and put vehicles there. And there's also a doors page. Okay, at the moment there's a remove wheel chocks and so on. No, hang on, I pressed the wrong key. Doors, and you can see that a number of doors are open. In the automatic regime, they would actually automatically close. You can use an inbuilt pushback, and it isn't too bad, this pushback function. The only thing is you need to know roughly what the correct distance is, and that is actually the difficult thing with these built-in pushbacks. You never know. You simply don't know where to push back. You can also set the cabin lights, the level of cabin lights here. It's in automatic mode, and there's this auto cruise which is for long flights. You can actually automatically speed up. You can also have step climbs automatically, the pause at top of descent. So if you're doing a 12-hour flight and you're approaching a top of descent, the simulator would actually pause because you may not be there to do things. So that's actually quite nice. You can't use speeding up and pause when you're online. You shouldn't, at least with VATSIM or Leo, because that doesn't make sense. And it's not really allowed. But when you're flying offline, and some of the cargo flights I have done or I will do are actually done like this. So I fly actual distance with the aircraft, but I speed up to 4 times, and that allows me to have, let's say, an 8-hour flight in a bit over 2 hours. And that is something that also would make sense on a video. Maybe not the full 2 hours. I would cut out sections of that, but it would allow me to do this without having to spend a whole day in real time. So that works really well, this automatic mode. I've done it on the 747 already, and here it works as well. So I'm not going to go through all the options, okay, because you have tons of them, and there's no way that I can explain all of that. It's not the idea of this Try&Fly. We were going to try and get going here very quickly. I think we are done when it comes to the loading. Yeah, all the loaders appear to be off hooks and the doors are closed, and we can see our route. This also looks like it has worked out. Let's see if my hardware works. Yes, my hardware works. Very good. For some, oh, very nice. Yeah. Just doesn't seem to be responding all the time. Okay, we need to switch to the barrel mode to okay, and then I press B. We have 1000 millibar or hectopascal, and I think we can go and close all the doors. So I would use now the menu, FS actions, doors. Yeah, the angle is actually not very good. Let's see if I can change the angle. I would need to save this though. Alright, and maybe just want to see both. I want to see the checklist and the FMC. By the way, these FMCs are completely independent. You can even do all the transfer of flight plans and stuff. All of that is working, and a lot more. This is an extremely realistic implementation of a 777. You will not find the likes of it in any other simulator from any other company, at least not that I know, on the PC. What did I want to do? Oh yeah, doors. So disarm, that means the main doors are, so we have one cargo bulk. I'm going to close it now. And that should mean that when we switch to the door page, that's a little bit, yeah, for the captain this is a bit difficult because it's hard to read. So here we got it. You can bring it out when it's not on checklist mode. Checklist seems to take away the mouse click. So forward access, entry, they're armed. So they're not open, they're armed. All the other doors are closed, so that's fine. So we're looking good when it comes to that. If we go to through the pages, electric, okay, flight controls. Can also look at the gear or the wheels, and we can see that they all look okay. I had some issues with GSX and parking brake and all the other stuff. I hope I'm not going to mess up with the 777 today again, because it becomes quite nasty if I do, because basically your tires keep exploding. So let's hope that I'm not going to do this today. I don't really intend to. By the way, you have 3 FMCs. The other one is here. And actually what I usually do is that I use the FS actions and those kind of things on the third one. So let's see. We haven't got the APU working yet. Right and left click, by the way, and it works in the sensible way, which means if I want to turn on the APU, I use the right mouse button to bring it over. That would start up the APU now. You can see a quick blink here, which indicates that, yeah, we're probably going to get the APU started now. And I'm simplifying now a little bit and put all of these in automatic mode, because I want to get going here. I turn on the pumps. We need to, oops, it was activated. Okay, so this is all in automatic mode. We don't need to do anything. Also the packs are in automatic mode, so that means they should turn off when we start the engines. It is a little bit hard to read. Okay, by the way, we can go and open the dome light. Can actually make it pretty bright in here. And yeah, but I think we are not yet done with the... Oh, I forgot to save this. Yeah, sure, it's not like an X-plane. I would have to save this in... Alright, okay, doesn't matter. Let's go to menu FMC. As you can see, we haven't yet finished, so let's take 4 tons of reserve. We have far more anyway. Cruise altitude is 200. Cost index is 35. So it put in some calculations here. I accept. And yeah, that kind of basically finishes this page. And we go to thrust limits. I'm going to use 45 degrees. This is all out of my, 93.9. We have a long runway. I've used the standard takeoff, and we reduced the power by selecting a higher temperature. And then from the takeoff, we're going to take off with flaps 5. We are light, don't forget. Center of gravity, you can just click and it would put it in. We are a little bit, I think, towards the rear. So trim is 2.0, and then you can accept the V-speeds, which it also calculates for you, and you're basically done. Now there are far more complicated things you can do, which I'm not going to do today, so this is going to be a quick setup. It's not to show everything there is to know. We definitely need to change the trim, and since we have put hydraulics in automatic, we do have already hydraulic power. So yeah, you can see how we moved it forward because we have more weight in the back. That's what that means. The APU has come online. We can actually disconnect now everything that's outside. So menu, FS actions, ground connections. We're going to take all of that. We can do this very quickly. And I also go to the ground operations and make sure that there is nothing connected. Return. And I think the doors that we can see on the doors page, we have looked at that. They are already all closed. So I think we are completely disconnected now. So there shouldn't be any chocks or anything on the wheels. And I'm going to try now and get prepare for pushback and departure. We want the nose to go to the right and the tail to the left because we need to go north. and I do not want to start the engines before pushback. So that means now GSX, who is cooperating today very nicely.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Yeah, so let's put on the beacon. Should have done that probably some time ago when we started the APU. Nav lights are on, beacons are on.
Locking gear.
So they're hooking us up now for the pushback. Okay, let's have a quick look again in the FMC. So I think we're done. This is our progress page. So flight time will be about half an hour.
Departure check completed. Bypass bin inserted.
And when we look at the legs, you can see how it calculated everything. And you know, that's the nice thing. So it doesn't think that we will reach flight level 200, and that could well be, because this is quite a climber, quite a performer here. It could well be, yeah.
Release parking brakes.
Alright, so release parking brakes. Let's do that.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
We're going to turn off the dome light now. We don't need it. So storm light, master brightness, and so on. So let's start the engine, and that's here. That's the engine EEC mode. Is it on? It's in normal, yeah. So starting the engines. Ooh, here in the darkness, I have actually difficulties seeing things. Okay, let's turn on the storm lights. There it is. Yeah. Should have probably waited. That might have been a little bit too early. Let's put this on engine. Going to put flight level 200 in there. I am somewhat sure we might not be able to reach it, because this thing is fast and climbs, unless I prevent it from climbing. The heading we're taking off is 080. Start a cutout. Then let's do number 1. You can see the spool up here.
Set parking brakes.
Parking brake is set. Not sure when. We should probably somewhere above 20. I'm not doing this now scientifically, okay.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass bin removed.
One to 2.8. Put in the performance page here, the legs page here, or the route, the legs page. We have 2 good starts, it appears. We didn't do the checklist, by the way. So let's do the checklist. No, oh, yeah, there it is. But there it is. Now that's the problem. I cannot pull the display out, it seems. or if there is a way, then I forgot how to do it. So that was the before start checklist MCP, oh yeah, V2. For that, transition altitude is wrong. The default puts there. Next page, forecast, yeah, 5,000. Alright. And index, performance, thrust limit, takeoff, and then let's see, it's 149. So we put 149, and I'm going to add 5, 149, 154. So flight directors both on. The auto throttle is already on. For some reason that is armed. The hydraulic pressure, so we still haven't got these running. And I think the rest, as it is in automatic mode, is covered. So what about these guys? They're gone. It's good. So I'm going to put on the taxi light, which works very well when you are in dynamic lighting mode. I also got the steering tiller connected, although it is actually very slow, so I need to be careful when I go around bends. It's easy to overshoot the bend. I still need to adjust this or fine-tune this a little bit. And just listen, the sound and everything, it's just I just like it. GCAS is off. You know what, I'm going to, where is it? There it is. I'm going to turn it on. Hurrah! You can steer to a degree also with the rudder pedals, but they're not very responsive, especially not on low speeds. So you need to use the steering tiller, and it seems like it's time delayed or so. At least for me, it could be just here. Okay. Oh yeah, emergency lights. We need to. Maybe we should first take that. Let's first take this here before we do anything. And I already start turning a little bit before that, because the wheel takes a moment to go all the way, and that can actually make you overshoot here. I learned this already during my initial little tests, taxi tests and engine starts and stuff like that. This is the effect for a wet runway. And you provide a little bit of power, it will kind of slow down. What did I say? Oh yeah, the emergency lights, so seat belts we do on. Where are the emergency lights? Let me see. Landing. I've been in one of those for some time. Taxi lights, strobes. Let's take those. Oh, a little bit too bright. Turn that off again. Then the auto brake, left click. Oh, for some reason the auto brake kicks out. This looks a little bit narrow. I think that is probably not one I should take. I should have probably taken the other one. So I'll stay a little bit towards the right. And yep. So let's stop here for the moment. And taxi lights out, landing lights off, strobes on we have already, and now I try again. I mean, obviously we have the full auto throttle on this one. And again, I need to do the steering tiller early, and as you can see now, I use a little bit of left brake only, right brake only in order to get it turning earlier. You really need, it could be my setup, okay, there could be something wrong with my setup here with the joystick. But yeah, I overshot a couple of times when I tested this. Okie dokie. Well, you get used to it, so let's stop here. And now, as usual, first of all, I'm going to activate Navgraph, and so 280, 154. Okie dokie. Now, the auto throttle is armed, and you see this is the screw. This is like the knob on the here down here to activate the takeoff mode on the auto throttle. So I'm going to bring forward a little bit, and then I press here, and that puts that is supposed to config flaps. Oh, sorry. We'll take off anyway. We still have some issues here, it seems. Ah. Now it has done it. And rotate. Yeah, that was a little bit a slight Costa Chaos, very quick one. Okay. LNAV, and flaps 1. Now I need to go down. Go over. And I'm going to activate the autopilot. So speed is coming up. When it's near the up, I can bring back the flaps completely. And we are already above 5,000. That means standard. And I've synchronized the two, so I don't need to do it on both sides. Frames still somewhere between sometimes 19, but usually above 25. So performance-wise, very good. Also GPU 70%, CPU about 48%. That is more than good. That's quite good. So flaps are up. I didn't do any of the checklists. Yeah, let's do the after takeoff checklist at least. We're already done. And the next checklist would be the descent checklist, but we are not there yet. And as you can see, we are climbing really fast. So this is VNAV. I'm not doing this, but I leave it going. I could have started the chronometer. This is not proper operations, okay. I'm going to already set parking auto brake 1. And I'm going to adjust the heading. Yeah, we are at flight level 200 before we know it. As you can see, oh, nice clear sky above the clouds. We're now near the 30 frames, so performance up here is good. I just love this stuff. You know, if everything is working with the Pmdgs, it's just, you can just rely on it, you know. You can just lean back and do your flights, do your long hauls, do your EVO and VATSIM flying, and the least thing you have to worry about is your aircraft really acting up badly. I mean, it can always happen that your simulator crashes and all, but that might not have to do with the Pmdg. My experience is once you have it going, you have it well installed and all that, it just works, you know, no trouble. Let's go back to the legs page. We're heading towards Akini now. You can see here also the progress. And the lighting is also quite good. I need to do something to maybe reach this here easier. I might have to do another view because it can be a little bit difficult. So auto brake 1 is set. The APU is actually still on. Let's turn it off. Shouldn't really have it on. The passenger signs are on as well. You can put that in automatic. We've reached flight level 200 before we know it. Amazing. We haven't even reached Akini yet. And what you can see is how it kind of calculates its own path, and instead, like in X-Plane, especially with standard X-Plane, instead of doing really weird things there, okay, it looks rather, but you actually get where you want to get, because it calculates turns and stuff that actually makes sense, you know. Now it tells you that we already have reached our top of descent in a moment. So we'll probably get a message on the FMC very soon. Unable cruise altitude. Okay, that's okay. So we're going to bring it down to 150. Yes, I know. Because we're already reaching the top of the descent. Now I hope that the VNAV will ask us for the, or will show us the path. We are 300. Yeah, this is it's a fast bird. It likes being fast. When it's empty like this, especially. That'll change a little bit when you fill it up, make it heavy. So we're reaching the descent checklist, so let's put up the checklists again. And let's put it on the descent checklist. The recall is up here, I think. Or no, no, that's not the recall. Sorry, it's up here. Alright, so the recall is checked. No notes. Auto brake 1, we have already set landing data, VREF. Yeah, for that we go here. Nope, sorry, init. And we're going to land with flaps 30. Put that in here, which means a reference speed of 135. And the approach breaching is completed. And what you can see now is we are now on the vertical path. It shows us this, and so let's check the legs. So on Bumpta, flight level 167, somehow it has not yet started, so I press that button and that actually allows it now to descend on the vertical path, because we have already dropped a little bit below, but that's no issue. And if you see my other Try&Flies, also the one on X-Plane, very often I have to actually manage the descent completely myself, so I'm using vertical speed and I have a rough idea when I need to do things. All of that should be automatic here, so I shouldn't really need to do anything. And I wouldn't get too hung up now because it's already turning. I mean, even the Pmdg has challenges with this corner, and that's the reason why I have it in there. But my hope is that whatever it does here will bring us onto Bumpta in a decent way and not mess up like I've seen in many other. So it's flying now towards Rosab. It's already selected Rosab. It says flight level 150 or below. And you can see we have been a little bit below what it calculated, but we're already reducing that being below. GPU 86%, sometimes dropping to 70, sometimes going to close to 90, but I'm still below 100% even with that window open. When I close the window, it drops a little bit, but not much. Very nice. So we are now on the, seems we are now on the vertical path again, and we check here. So Mike is then flight level 50 or above. We need to be at 50 eventually, so I'm going to just dial in. Oh, no. What am I doing here? Not up, we need to go low. I got the FNC message because it was warning me of that, because it didn't make sense. So, and I leave it to decide how we're going to get there. But I allow it basically, and I activate that by pressing this button. I allow it to decide and calculate the vertical path. So we are a little bit below what it deems the correct vertical path. That's why I have activated this here, and you can see how it is now starting to go down. By the way, the PFD is blocked from being pulled out because it appears that in older versions of Prepared and the Pmdg, bringing out that the PFD could cause the simulator to crash. Now, I'm not sure if that is still the case in V4, or especially V4.4 and the latest versions of the 777, but it seems they have not changed that for whatever reasons. So let's go to the approach checklist, which is basically only the altimeters, and we're going to go through this when we're at 5,000. And you can see how it is very slowly, roughly with 1,000 feet per minute. That's what I do as well. So I descend with a shallow, something like 1,000 feet per minute. Currently CPU is 28%, 30%, GPU is about 50, between 50 and 60. So it has dropped again. So we are above the clouds. We have complete cloud cover. And that's the amazing thing, you know. On my weak PC, I had other aircraft and my frames would drop below 20, and they are not half as complicated as this one. So you can really see how Pmdg Precision Manuals is doing a fantastic job when it comes to this whole performance optimization. I cannot stop telling that, because it is really, it's amazing. It's the kind of Pmdg aircraft, this kind here, that makes it possible that I still use this old PC with only slight modifications compared to the original setup. Better discs, obviously, and a 1050 Ti, which I replaced my 690 GTX. I have now 4 gigabytes of video RAM, and that made a lot of difference, and a much faster GPU, which also made a lot of difference, and actually allowed me to run this simulation here with the Pmdg 777, for example, at a decent frame rate. Yes, there are compromises. I needed to tweak my settings a little bit, but well, there you go. So we are slowly descending. That's the A92, I think. Is it? The Deggendorf Autobahn, I think. Not sure now. So you can see how we are heading towards MIQ. I did not turn off the landing lights, they're still on, so I leave everything as it is. In the dark, some of these textures look a bit strange. There seem to be some lighting effects that cause moire patterns to show in some areas. It's not bad, but yeah, sometimes they look better in daylight. But you only see this when you're up close. I sincerely hope that this aircraft will not destroy my good impression now, as it sometimes goes, you know. I'm full of praise and then suddenly things go completely banana, pear-shaped. Yeah, let's hope not. Let's hope it's an uneventful thing. So we're almost at 10,000. We are now reducing our speed. It brings it down to 240. And that's another thing that works really well here, and that is the whole speed management. So at the right point it will go to the up speed, then I'm applying the first stage of flaps and it will automatically bring down the speed to the corresponding flaps 1 speed, and so on and so forth. What I normally do myself, and kind of roughly, you know, in 10 notch steps and stuff like that, all that is done here automatically. I don't need to worry. The automation is quite enhanced here. I just wonder, is there a way that I can set my display? Yeah, here it is. Because I find it a little bit bright. So we've reached 240. Now we're probably going to descend a little bit more again. Yeah, but it has calculated that we probably reach 5,000 somewhere at or a bit later than after mic. Usually what I do is I try and hit it much later, because we need to be at 5,000 sharp when it comes to Magat. See here, there we need to be at flight level 50 or above. Now let's quickly check the Navgraph page at 109.5, 081. So things have changed again in the latest ERAC. 081. But that's all automatically set, and also the other VORs are currently in automatic mode. Which also shows that you don't need to be an expert of the 777 to fly the 777. You just need to understand how you set it up. So that you need to learn. And there are videos out there that show that. It's not that difficult if you know Boeing. It's actually very similar to any of the other Boeings, especially the Pmdg ones. And you do not need to do all the kinds of special things. It's enough if you set up a route and just make sure that you have all the pages, the performance page and so on, and your V-speeds, all of that there. Once that's the case, as you can see, you can actually trust this aircraft to just fly you through the route. There's nothing complicated to it. So we're reaching MIQ, Mike. Well, I would say in and around 8,000, which is correct, which is no problem, because it says 5,000 or above. GPU currently 80%. CPU about meandering between 40 and 60. That's due to the scenery. By the way, if you want a PFD to pop out, you can always use the one from the first officer. You just need to be aware that this is the first officer's, but as a pop-up display, because I like to use this for landings, when I do manual landings, because it's hard to read things when they are down here. It's much easier to have it, then you can kind of go into a view like this, not like this, but like this, and then have your PFD on. So we're turning and we're still descending, and as you can see, I leave everything to the computer. It has calculated the whole lot. So we're probably going to be at 5,000 latest here. I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to activate the approach mode, and I'm going to bring out the flaps. This green little dot here is the point, I think, where it will then start with the flaps regime. That means it will bring us down to the up speed, and I take it then from there. So, just for good measures, I'm going to bring us out of standard mode, because I know what will happen. Okay, so let's... I will forget, basically. Yeah. Performance has dropped, actually, below 20. Not sure why that is. Could be scenery again. Go to the landing, checklist, speed brake. Yeah, how do you arm this? I think like this. Yeah, landing gear is not yet down, flaps not yet 30. Ooh, we've dropped quite a bit in the frames. Ooh, we're definitely below now. And GPU has... Ooh, we have maxed out the GPU. Interesting. I mean, the CPU is about 23%. It's not that heavy. It's the GPU that's currently maxing. And whatever it is, it doesn't go away when I turn onto something else. So I am hoping we're not going to see stutters, but that is actually the time when stutters can appear. Hmm. 16. But that's what I do these tests for, right? That's exactly why I'm doing those. We've reached 6,000 almost. So 1,000. And that means we are nicely on time with our descent. But I can really see how things get stuttery now. I hope that will change for the landing, because that's not good. I mean, even outside, although outside we are a little bit higher, but we've definitely maxed out the GPU. We are back with the rain. It's the rain that actually causes this. Alright. So, I'm going to activate the approach mode. It's armed. Localizer is captured. You can see how it turned the heading. And I'm now in charge of the speed, I just realized, so I'm going to reduce now to the up speed. Ooh, we got a bit fast. Got a bit very fast. I'm going to use the speed brakes a little bit because we need to get slower. So things got a little bit out of hand now. I don't know if that may have to do with the stutters. Could be. I'm going to use the gears because somehow we're not slowing down the way we should. Now I can do first stage. And we need to be fast now. So there's the reference speed. I keep it at reference +5. 25. Yeah, it'll be okay. And speed brake is still extended. That's correct. I'm going to put it in again, and I need to arm it now again. And the landing checklist is green. And we have the auto land actually armed, and I'm going to let it auto land.
1,000.
So it got a little bit hectic now at the end. We're still maxing out, probably due to the rain. But at least from the experience on the screen, on my screen is still okay. I wonder what the video will be like, but it's still pretty fluid, although I can see only about 12-13 frames, okay? But it doesn't stutter. CPU has actually gone up quite a bit. You can see that we land in Munich in a complicated airport, and that's what I'm doing. That's exactly why I'm doing this, to see exactly these things. So the rollout and the flare are armed. It's nicely on the glide slope. Don't look at the puppies. That is a bit deceiving. The closer we come, the less accurate the puppies get.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
So we've touched down. I'm putting things into reverse. Isn't that nice? I need to make sure that we don't veer off. 70 knots. I turn off the reversers. And manual braking. So we're going to take this exit. And then we're done. So autopilot is still on, and you need to turn it off actually, because it has this mode that tries to keep the aircraft straight on the runway, and that can interfere with you taxiing. And I'm going to stop here. Parking brake. Right. Verdict. You know my verdict. I still love this aircraft. This and the 747 and the NGX are the reason why I still fly prepared. The frames have dropped a bit, but that's due to the bad weather. I'm somewhat sure if I go now to world weather, and I'm going to pick the clear skies. Let's see. Yeah, then we... well, actually... No. We're still at 15. There could be another reason for this, and that is possibly... the GPU is... now, vol. 92%. No, actually GPU use is not a sign for heat or anything. It actually... for some reason we are using the GPU much more than at the beginning. I wonder why that is. Does that have to do with the displays? I can't tell you. Let's turn off the display. No. So I can't really explain why we dropped. The fact is that we did drop, but everything stayed smooth, at least for me. I shall see how it was in the video, but for me it actually stayed smooth. And yeah, it's fantastic. So one of the next videos that I do with the 777 is I'm going to install FS2 Crew eventually, and then explore the latest version of FS2 Crew here for the 777, adding this co-pilot functionality and also seeing how it will perform. But up to now, that's it. The Pmdg 777, still one of the best aircraft I think out there for simulation, and yeah, I'm glad that I reactivated it again. Right, that's it. Until next time.